You know what I did? We've been going on here now for 20 minutes without going live.
Oh, that stinks.
Isn't that awful?
Yeah.
Really?
You're like, they're just waiting for you patiently.
Right. And I'm wondering why nobody's commenting. And I just, honest to God,
That's funny.
I got so excited about having you up here. I forgot to hit the go live button.
Oh, well.
So you guys are going to have to go. I don't know what you're going to do because if it's not live, it's not here. It just, we've been having a wonderful time, KCB and I, chatting away, wondering why nobody is paying any attention to us. And it's because we're not live. I finally noticed that and thought, what's going on here? And then I realized I've done this before. Not quite to this extent, but I've done it before. Oh, dear God. So when I saw people saying, I'm really worried, 20 minutes after I thought we were here. I don't know.
You played Lee's song and...
Really? Well, all right. We need to play Lee's. Let's play Lee's song again. We can at least do that, can't we? Mercy. And then we're going to chat with Cassie B a little bit all over again. God, we'd have had her on and off and nobody'd known the difference.
Yeah.
It gets bizarre. Really bizarre. Here we are.
Hello, Mary. Mary, try and sort this one out. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
It's just me. And Father Fish took a break. Come back.
Out of the frame.
I'm still humming the song in my head.
So KCB's with us this morning.
Hello, hello.
To have you here.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
We were checking out your video yesterday and enjoying it and talking about your tank. And you've done a few things since then. You want to talk with us a little bit about what you've done?
Well, I heard your comments. You told me to add more plants. I need more plants and more light. So I went back out to my local fish store and I made a list. I was like, okay, I think I need 4 more sword plants, 2 more Java ferns. So I went with that list to my fish store and I left with 2 sword plants and 2 Java plants and an Anubias that's on driftwood. And I put that in the aquarium and I shot a video of it and it looks a lot better. The tank that is right next to it that you guys saw yesterday, that was bare bottom with 1 plant in it. I took the light from that tank and moved it on to this one. So now it has 2 lights on it. So
Nice. So you should be getting a lot more growth going. That'll be great. Nice.
I hope so. And the only reason I got those sword plants was because the label said that they grow to like 2 inches. And the guy wasn't there when I got him, and he was there today, the guy I normally see. And I said, hey, how come the label says 2 inches on here? And he said, oh, that's a misprint. It should say 20. And I was like, I wouldn't have bought them if I'd known they were going to grow 20 inches.
Well, they'll get, they'll come up to the surface. They should grow to the surface.
The other reason I'm not a fan of sword plants is because they melt. So I'm hoping they won't melt completely on me.
Well, they shouldn't. You should be okay with them. Your deep substrate should keep them going. Now, when you apparently have done a number of different kinds of things with this tank, including bringing some wild caught stuff in. You want to talk a little bit about what you've done?
Yeah, I went out to my local pond it's man-made. And I guess they planted it with anacris and moneywort, and there's water hyacinth. From like a year ago to this year, it looks completely different because it's been taken over by the water hyacinth. But I went into the pond all kind of covert, feeling like I shouldn't be here doing this. I went in with my my rain boots as deep as I could before the water started going into my rain boots, and I was reaching in and snipping the anacris, and I took at least 2 handfuls or 3 handfuls of the anacris, and I grabbed some of them. At the time I didn't know what it was, but I got some of the moneywort as well, and I planted that. So that's what you see on the left side of my tank. And then I had gone out and I bought the Kabamba and the, what is it? The Bacopa Carolinia.
Yes.
And I planted that. So, and I was just planning on just adding a little bit here and there, week by week, spacing it out a little. So the anacris was very, very dirty from the pond. So that's one thing I don't like about it, is it's not like the nicest looking. And since then, the moneywort has like dropped all of its lower leaves, so it's looking like you saw in the video, pretty stemmy.
Anacris and Ludwig does that as well.
Moneywort, Ludwig,
yeah. They're both plants that in the wild tend to grow up and out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of bog plants. Somebody made a comment. See if I can go back and find it. Oh, here it is. Million and Son says, good morning. Do any of you who live in the South feed mosquito larvae? If so, any trouble with parasites coming in feeding them. I've never had a problem with it. I've never brought parasites in from the wild, and I've brought a lot of wild stuff into my tanks. It just doesn't happen. Generally, a parasite is not a result of bringing something into a healthy, normal tank. It's a matter of bringing something in to an unhealthy tank that's got maybe way too much food in it, or is not set up in a way that's really healthy. And in those cases, parasites can become problematic because the fish are already stressed and they're able to attack them more easily. In the wild, animals know how to protect themselves from predation. Now that's not it's not a zero sum game. I mean, they're not perfect at it, but they're pretty good at it. And the attackers might be big fish, or it might be little tiny microbes. They have ways of being able to protect themselves. So it's really a matter of keeping your fish healthy in order for them to protect themselves. So you did get a little bit of stuff. I wanted to also, KCB, thank you for the help you're giving us going through these morning streams and doing timestamps on the topics on our conversations. You've been sending that to me, and I've been posting it in the description section.
Yeah.
And that's just a big help because it makes these long streams much more accessible to people who are interested in looking for certain kinds of things. We may try at some point to set up a directory for this. We'll see. That's down the road. If I ever get to the point where I have the time to do anything, maybe we'll do that. But so far, this is a real big help, and I do appreciate it.
Well, and the one thing I mentioned before we went live was about the topics was it helps if you expand on it for at least a minute or two, give it like a solid 2 minutes, maybe longer. I think we're okay if you go longer, and then it's a little bit easier to write down what was said at what time.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And also someone maybe going through that goes, oh, I really want to know about KH. So if they go to that timestamp,
right,
kind of get a little, might not be like a wealth of knowledge, because it's, there's other topics and that's not your main topic, but they might get a good little snippet from it.
It'll be an entree, won't it? That's great. Let's see, Dicostamix is here. Lisa Perez, color copies. One dirty platy. I'm forgetting that I haven't really said hello to anybody yet.
And I can't see anybody, so hi everyone.
Billy Dog, Hattrick Farm, Markio 306. Let's see, Chevy Fish. Good morning, Chevy Fish. I need to give you a call. I need to talk to you. I'll try to do that this evening.
I had a question on the aquarium with the substrate. You were asking yesterday why there was like layers.
It looks like layers of sand. Right.
So I had put the sand in originally, and we used like a bag, and I think I was like, that's not enough, so we used another half of a bag of the 50-pound bag from Home Depot, the pool filter sand. And I didn't rinse it. I think you had said it would be okay not to rinse it. We might have gotten it a little wet. I don't remember. But we put it in and I was like, this doesn't look like enough sand. So a week later, after it had been set up with water, I added half of the rest of the second bag to the top. So for some reason, like a black line was developing in the first layer, and that since has kind of gone away. But the brown line above it was basically from where the new sand was added to the old sand. So I don't know if that's just
Yeah,
malm seeping down or if that's from the malm from or algae or whatever creeping up. I don't know.
huh. Funny. Interesting. Yeah, it looks like two different kinds of sand.
Yeah, it's all the same. Just added at different dates.
Well,
But I'm thinking I might need to add more. So, because where
well, you know,
there's a low spot.
if you're getting malm, then that's a pretty good sign you need more sand, because that malm will go down into the sand, and it can saturate. You can have the malm in the sand right up to the level of the sand. If you start getting malm on the top of a capped deep sand bed, then it's because the sand is solid, full of mud, full of malm. So you need to add a little more sand. It works its way through, but of course it does it very slowly.
Well, it's getting little balls. And then I've noticed like there's a little bit of cyanobacteria too in the front there and in the
Yeah,
middle.
that's normal for any new tank. Um, if it gets to be a problem, then you need to control nitrates. And you do that by doing water changes, slowing down on feeding, adding a little more sand. At one point, I had this down to 5 different things, but those 3 are good.
But I don't read any nitrates in the water when I test it.
And you're still getting cyano? Well, they may be
Yeah.
absorbing it. They may be absorbing it. They may be just pulling it out, and it could be just real marginal. That will go away. Cyano is not a permanent condition. Hello,
And
Manish.
the
Yeah.
plants on the top, those were floating plants.
Ah, right. What were they? Or what are they?
That is the salvinia I collected locally.
Oh, very good. Yeah, that's a nice plant.
And I don't know if it needs like a higher light. The leaves were turning white, and that's why I went out and I got leaf green, I think, from API. So 2 things happened. I added the leaf green, the dosage they recommended. And it seemed to make the water a little hazy after that.
Yeah, you're adding nitrogen to the water. Nitrates doing that. If you've got a deep sand bed with soil in there, there's no need to add nutrients. You've already got it. Um, the caveat is for floating plants. If you've got a sand bed that's doing its job, it's going to keep that water pretty pure. So there is a downside, particularly with non-rooted plants, which includes things like anubias and Java fern. So you really need some nutrients in the water in order to be able to feed them.
Yeah.
Let's see who else is here. Color guppies, dichostomics, Manish. Hi, Manish. Lisa. Lee is here. Hi, Lee. Lee saying dichostomics needs to be in blue. I need to get over. Let's see. Dichostomics is now a moderator. Good job, Lee. Thank you.
I understand your camera thing. It's like, which way do I go?
Oh, right. It's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like I go this way and I'm like, I'm not on screen.
I'm just jumping back here a little bit. Lee said, Peplin, I have a song about your mom, but it's not broadcastable. Well, we don't want to know about it, do we? Lisa says, hi, Cassie B. Good morning.
Good morning, Lisa.
Nice to put the name with the face. Yeah, I was talking to Kenny E yesterday about that. He's had the wonderful opportunity to put a lot of faces with a lot of names on his trip around his loop around the country, and he's just thoroughly enjoyed doing that.
Yeah, that's really neat what they're doing. It's pretty special.
He's back in California today, and we'll be, let's see, what day is today? Thursday.
Today's Friday.
Thursday. Is today Friday?
It's Friday.
I missed it again. How do I do that?
It's early release day.
Yeah, he's leaving to go back home today. He's got about a 14-hour drive to get home. So he'll be home tomorrow, sometime tomorrow.
I was thinking about Daniken driving through the mountains. I'm going, I wouldn't want to do that.
Well, he took the southern route going back. So I think he kind of got below much of that. I know he said he spent a full day driving through Texas.
Mm-hmm. That's boring. We've done that because we moved from Colorado and we drove down. We took kind of the scenic route. My mom wanted to see all of the Indian pottery and jewelry, so she loves all that stuff. And we went through Arizona, down through Texas. By the time we got to Texas, though, we couldn't wait to get out, but it was the longest drive because there's not much to see.
No, there's not. It's just it reminds me of driving through a cornfield in, I don't know where I was, Iowa maybe. We entered the cornfield at dusk, and when the sun was coming up, we were still driving through the cornfield all night long, driving through a cornfield. It is vast. You really get a sense of the vastness of the country. All righty. I need to take a break, and I thought I would, if I can get it up here. Let me get Cassie B's song. See if I can figure out how to do this. My brain's not clicking on all cylinders this morning, so I'm kind of a little dopey. Let's see. There's that. Let me get.
That's Lee. We already saw Lee. We love you, Lee.
Yes, we do. Let me go back. I need to crank the volume up here a little.
My way to Father Fish. He comes on in the morning every day.
Can we hear that?
I can hear it.
Add some soil, cap it with sand, then add plants. He will help you do it the right way. Add some fish, and walk away. Feed them high quality food. Thy food is best. Keep it dirted. Keep it all natural. I found my way back to Father Fish. Bye.
Let's start caring for aging parents, helping them live independently. Everyone's entitled to be treated with dignity.
Since 1990, the lightweight Craig Cat has meant quality, affordable boating. Florida Sports Magazine called the Craig Cat an absolute.
Did everybody leave?
Watercraft
Leave.
design.
Run, hide.
The comfort of a large boat, but the fuel efficiency and portability of a small boat. Craig Cat has put the fun back in boating. Craig Cats are also available.
I think Father Fish likes boating. He gets boating ads.
For free at 877-999-4CAT and step into a Craig Cat.
It's a nice little boat.
Good morning. This is fun.
Getting all kinds of screwball stuff, aren't we?
I say, I think you like boating because you get boating advertisements. That was a cool little boat they showed.
Oh, there's that little one. That is neat, isn't it?
I have not seen that before. That's cool.
Yeah, I could almost handle that, I think. It's a little smaller than what I want, but it might work for me.
I was telling my husband that he should sell his Gnu to you.
What does he have?
He has a Gnu.
What is the Gnu?
Okay, so I don't know if you guys have heard about it, but there was a guy in Titusville who took like a canoe and he crossed like a boat and a canoe. And he makes them himself and sells them. And he does it all custom. You can choose your paint color. My husband bought the motor separate and added that himself. But yeah, it kind of looks like a small boat, but it's larger than a canoe.
Huh. So it's wider?
Yeah, yeah.
With a flat transom.
And he did his. You can kind of customize the interior as well, like what kind of storage you want, what kind of seating you want.
Oh, really? Well, yeah, that's the kind of thing it would do me. I need something I can get up into shallow water in.
Yeah, I think if you just look up GNU, I'm not sure how you spell it, like GEENUE, you might be able to see it.
Huh. Oh, let's see.
Yeah, GHEENOE, manufactured here in Titusville.
NOE.
I don't know if you can see that. GNU.
Yeah, I got it. Oh, look at that. Let's see. Let me get it up here.
But it's a little small for our family, so that's why my husband was wanting to sell it, because it's more of a one person to two people.
Right, right. Yeah, that's interesting, isn't it?
The four of us kind of weigh it down a bit.
Huh. I like it. That's cool. What's it, about 14, 15, 16? That's about 18 feet there, looks like.
Oh.
Maybe not quite that big.
No, probably not that big. Maybe 15.
15, yeah. Huh. Interesting. Yeah, it's more flat bottom, so it'll be more stable than a canoe. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a thought. Yeah,
It takes it out on the river.
Right. I've been thinking about a very small party boat but that gets to be a problem too. I don't know. I've got to get more mobility before I can get serious about a boat again. I'm getting a little better, but it ain't great. Let's see. Blake is here. Hi, Blake. Good to see you. Tisha, Joanna, Kenny D, Holly Gibbs. Holly says, I got a new fish, a farlowella, stick catfish, not quite as hungry as Hannibal for neons. Oh, that's a good thing, Holly. Yeah, farlowella is a pretty cool little fish. Let's see. Dichostomix Markey, Mary Page. Good morning, Mary Page. Zimrian. Got Blake, Chevy Fish, Bill Witt, Zeppelin Creek, Aquatic Conquest, Blake. We did Blake. 44 Mag Guy. And just scrolling back, see you all's here. Hi, Lee. And we said hello to Mary Page. Mo M. Let's see. Mo M is saying, Fatherfish, I seem to be having trouble keeping male swordtails alive. The females do just fine. Do they simply have a shorter lifespan? Well, they probably do because their behavior is so tenacious. They're just kind of on the move all the time. And they because of their tail, it gives them the ability to do two things that are not normal for small live bearers. One is they're able to swim very much faster, and number two, they're able to jump much higher. So one of the reasons that male swordtails, don't live so long is they keep jumping out of the tank. So you need to keep a lid on them in order to keep them in. And they're just a much more active fish. Beyond that, there's no reason you should be losing the males over the females, unless they're just beating themselves up. If they're in too small a tank, that could affect them, I guess, because they do tend to want to move around a lot. So if you got a bigger tank, Mo, try them in a bigger tank, see if that makes a difference. Do keep a cover on them. Oh.
I found out how to look at the comments.
Oh, good. So you're in it. Wonderful.
But yeah, I don't think I can reply. But Lee says if he was to cross a boat with a canoe, he would call it a can boat or boat new. I don't know why they came up with canoe.
Sounds Indian, doesn't it? What else? Let's see. Oh, I'm just going.
I have 7 black skirt tetras now, and 6 zebra danios, and 4 corridoras. I guess corridoras. What would you recommend I do? Should I keep building their numbers up, or add a 3rd fish or 4th fish?
You're talking about your tank?
Yeah, in my 40-gallon.
Well, it's a matter of what you want, I guess.
Some color would be nice. Right now it's all black and white, but
yeah, get some. Bye, Betsy. Thank you. Some more colorful tetras, maybe, or live bearers. You could really do either. That'll give you more color.
I just want peaceful.
Well, if you do tetras and live bearers, that's going to be about as peaceful as you can get. Somebody asked a question here about cleaning the substrate. And then it went away. Oh, here it is. Paul C. Fatherfish, should the substrate be vacuumed before adding more sand? I assume you're talking about removing the mold. And you can certainly do that. Take the mold out and then add more sand. That's fine to do that. And it'll make it a little cleaner and a little easier. When you add the sand, it's going to stir the mold up anyway, so you may as well just take it out.
That's what I was going to do. I was going to siphon up whatever was there before I added any more.
Yeah, if you're being meticulous at all, that's helpful to do. Colored Guppies saying swordtails can be aggressive. They need space and the right male-female ratio. They're always challenging the set hierarchy. Yeah, they really aren't aggressive. They're not aggressive so much as they're hormonally dominant. They're just they're not chasing to bite or beat up anything. They're simply establishing their dominance as the alpha male in the tank. So they're struggling over that issue routinely. So if you've got one or three, three is better than two. 4 or 5 are better than 1 or 2 or 3, but 1 is good. 1 male or 3 males, then you're going to get more diffused action. If you have 2 males, one will establish dominance over the other and just kind of beat it to death.
Chevy Fish said that his swordtails fight endlessly. Maybe aggression problems, even keeping more females to males, they fight.
Try to keep more males to males, or just reduce it to 1. You can do more. The more you do, the less the aggression is going to be, because it'll be more diffused. Somebody's calling me. Father Fish. Hello.
Hello.
Yes.
I'm gonna put you on FaceTime. I want to say my name.
I can't do it right now. I'm on live stream. Plug in the live stream. Plug in the live stream. Yeah, log into Father Fish on YouTube and go to the live stream. Okay, see you in a bit.
Roman Chirac says he has seen other fish keepers keeping numerous aquariums for breeding. What size is good for breeding? 10, 15, or 20 gallons? Does it depend on the fish, I guess?
Yeah, of course. And what you're trying to breed. What are you thinking about? What's he talking about?
He didn't say what kind. He just said what, I guess maybe in general. Could you suggest something for like small fish for breeding or medium-sized fish for breeding? I've seen discus in like very small tanks, like maybe a 10 for breeding.
Yeah, 29 is kind of the tank of choice for most discus breeders. Bare bottom typically. It depends on what you're doing. If you're colony breeding live bearers, for example, then you can do like a 20-gallon long with a lot of plants in it, just really loaded up with plants, because that'll provide protection for the babies. The farmers typically use what's called a 40-gallon breeder for breeding fish. It's a good size for most anything. You can colony breed or pair breed. So it depends on what you're trying to do. If you want to breed, for example, rams, blue rams, then the best way to do that is to have a small heated tank, like a 10-gallon tank. These fish are only an inch long, and just have nothing else in there. Keep the female well fed. You want to get her beefed up. The trick to breeding egg layers is to feed the female heavily enough that she gets egged up. Because once she's producing eggs, then they're ready to go, and they'll go right quick. It kind of depends on the tank, but if you're doing live bears, you want a lot of plants to provide protection. I have a lot of the guppy breeders will use 10-gallon tanks, and many of them are bottom tanks because they pull the female out as soon as the babies are born. And then as soon as they can begin to sex the babies, they pull out the males. So, it kind of depends on a number of different factors as to what you're trying to do. Generally, for colony breeding, where you're simply leaving the fish in the tank, a 29 or a 20 wide, those are good tanks. It's the same base, the 30-inch base. Either one is 6 inches taller than the other, with lots of plants so the babies can hide. What else we got here?
Somebody named Cichlin lost a beta. I just lost a beta this morning. He took him out of the tank. He's wondering what he has to do. He or she, I don't know. It's a 10-gallon dirted tank, and there's a lot of plants. He wants to know if he needs to start over. Sorry if you're not a he.
Yeah, no, I'm not finding it. Probably do not need to start over. How long? I'd like to get some kind of idea of why the fish died.
I would check water parameters, and I would just worry about the water, not the plants. Because he's asking, should he take the plants out? And I would think you'd probably want to start with your water.
Yeah, I wouldn't go through a big hoopla about changing. There's probably nothing wrong with the tank. What do you feed the Betta? What have you been feeding him?
You're asking cichlid?
Yeah, and I'm not finding. How far back is he?
Let me find it. He was kind of far back. He was at 9:18. He asked that question.
Oh, the message was retracted on mine.
Really? Oh.
Huh. So I guess I don't know.
I was feeding my beta just the Aquarium beta little red bits of food, and then I switched to bug bites, and the bug bites sink. They don't see them as readily, so it would fall down and like they wouldn't see it right away. And then I switched to what you recommended. I switched to the ground chicken, and I was feeding just tiny, maybe 2 or 3 tiny bits of that.
Yeah.
Like the size of those bug bites.
Right.
And then I started noticing on one of my betas, he was getting like a white spot on top of his head. And I didn't know if that was maybe because some of the chicken got left behind. But it went away in like 2 days.
He's sickly came back and said he's been feeding omega-1 flakes. Flake food is not good for bettas. Then the reason's really very simple. Bettas are strict insectivores. They do not have the enzymes to be able to digest any vegetable matter. Now, omega-1's a real high quality food, but it still contains filler, and that filler is not digestible. Cassie's talking about feeding bits of ground chicken. You can also buy frozen bloodworm or even feed little tiny pieces of shrimp or fish. If you buy a couple of shrimp from the supermarket and shave off tiny bits of it, keep it frozen, and feed that, that's a perfect food. You want to feed them. You want to feed them meaty foods. Bettas do much better on meaty foods.
Yeah, all of mine love the chicken.
Yeah, it's a great food.
But Stephen made a point about like, and that's why I was hoping he would come on and talk about it. But he'd made a point about fish maybe not having, like, I guess what you call it, like the immunity or their to the parasites that come with chicken.
Yeah, I saw that too, that comment. I thought it was interesting. I think he simply was not aware of, he was talking about gee whiz. He was talking about the ability of the fish to digest from a very foreign food source. Um, that he was suggesting that birds are not a natural food source, and that the fish could have a digestion problem based on that. There was research, however, that backed this up. It was done a year or so ago that I pointed him to. I don't know if he's had a chance to look for that, but there was a study done of fish in the Amazon eating birds, and they found that it was substantial. That it wasn't just piranhas; it was all fish eating birds that fell into the water or otherwise were killed in the water. So they did determine that it's a significant food source for fish. So chicken is in that same food line, and I know I went from beef heart to chicken, and I did it kind of for that reason that Stephen's describing, because cow is not a real standard food in the Amazon River. The other thing is the blood in the beef heart uh, tends to create a lot of biomass, so that's problematic as well. Not so much the case with chicken.
So does that apply to beta fish as well?
I would say, well, let's see. Certainly not. Uh, but in that they're strict insectivores, and as well as eating baby fish, Um, I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know how you do a study on that. I'm not enough of a scientist to know. You'd have to study the cell structure to
I thought
determine.
he was talking about the pathogens that are introduced to the water, like that come with the chicken naturally, that they might not be able to fight off the pathogens.
Maybe I didn't get that, but you may be right. Um, I thought he was talking about something different from that, but we'll have to get him on here and and discuss it. He's obviously not here, or he would have
Well,
left in by now.
it made me think twice about switching to shrimp.
Well, now shrimp would be a more natural food because the Betta do eat um, copepods and scuds and such stuff.
I was thinking about instead of, because I only have 3 betta fish, buying a frozen bag of shrimp, even for $5. What am I going to do with all that shrimp? I don't eat it myself. So I was thinking about going down to like a bait shop and just grabbing
One or
maybe one or two shrimp from them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we could even we can get our own shrimp from the river and from our backyard pond, but I like the ghost shrimp, and I wouldn't feed them the ghost shrimp because to me they're like my pets. I After
Yeah,
having them, I really enjoy them.
Aquafunk just chimed in. He said his his fish do better on meaty foods. But any fish will. It's really kind of fundamental.
Yeah, somebody was asking about feeding bloodworms to betas.
No, I do it all the time. That's really standard fare, and is a natural food for them. It's it's they find it in their environment, so it's really perfect. If you can buy frozen bloodworm, that's a natural food for bettas.
I
Uh,
I bought the frozen bloodworms and was feeding that to my cories, but I found it kind of messy because I'm not going to use the whole block, and then I cut it up, but it still seemed pretty messy. So to me, it seems like overkill for a beta to have to try to break
well,
it up for a beta fish.
what you want to do is if you're getting it in little pop out cubes, put a cube in a little container of water and then set it in the fridge and let it thaw out. And then you can take out a few of the little worms or whatever it is you're feeding and feed them that way. That way you don't get the waste in the water. You just
But
get
even then, if you're just feeding a beta, like that's a lot of food that'll go bad.
well, one of those cubes will last in the fridge about a week. And if
Yeah.
you're feeding it to one betta, you'll go through 2/3 of it or more. Plus, in your case, you can always feed it to the rest of your fish.
Yeah. Okay.
Everybody,
Well, I was putting it in frozen, so maybe that was my mistake.
yeah, thaw it out first in a little container in water. That allows you to feed it without having the waste in there.
Okay. Because people say feed bloodworms, but there's like, if you've never done it before, you don't know what you're doing.
True enough. Yeah, I sell a little Dixie cup with a lid on it when I sell a packet of bloodworms and explain, to folks to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Dog's using bug bites. Yeah, bug bites is certainly in the right direction. Um, it's hard to find because it's hard for a shop to put it on the shelf. And the reason is the company insists that you buy their entire line of product which is number one, expensive, and number two, you don't sell most of it. So there's a marketing problem with it, which is why you don't find it often.
Cichlid wants a follow-up to the beta fish question about siphoning all the water. Should he siphon it all out and then leave the plants alone? I would still test the water before you siphon it
Yeah,
and see what it was.
Why do you think the fish died, Cichlid? What's your best estimation?
Well, my question is, are you able to determine the pH, the ammonia? You need to know your parameters.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I guess a lot of times people with beta fish, they're told just add water, change it daily. So I don't know if that's what's going on there. Does he know about the parameters? So I would test it before emptying it out. Maybe you had high ammonia.
Yeah, if he was feeding flake food, most of that was not being eaten. So it could very well have fouled the water. Elflower, how many times can you feed bloodworms? In a lifetime, in a day? You know, generally you want to feed once a day. If you're trying to get a female egged up to spawn, then you can feed 2 or 3 times a day. But you want to make sure all of the food is eaten before you do that. Susan is here. This is Cassie B. Susan.
It was really long, so I didn't put Cassie B completely in there. Cichlid just replied and said he thinks the beta fish died from some sort of disease because he was not eating yesterday.
Whitish red thing on his skin. Okay, so here's the deal. You have stopped feeding flake food. Do not feed any more flake food.
Well, the fish is dead. There's nothing to feed. Well,
presumably he's going to get another fish.
Yeah.
You want to get the tank clean, but the tank is going to clean itself. I would do what you're suggesting. Drain the water out, replace the water. Let it sit for a week before you put anything in it. If you're going to get another betta, try to find some frozen bloodworm. And then you want to do as I suggested. Pop one of the little cubes out, put it in a little cup in the fridge, keep the frozen in the freezer, the cup in the fridge with water in it so it thaws out. And then each day, take 2 or 3 of those little worms out and feed them to the fish. If they do not eat them, take them out. Don't leave food laying in the tank. Your fish got a bacterial disease from the water, from the tank fouling. That's what that all that redness was. That was bacterial infection. So you want to be much more careful about feeding. Go ahead and do a water change. Let it sit. That'll ensure that things get back in balance. Put new fish in and feed them frozen bloodworm. If you can't get it, then tiny pieces of raw chicken, but very tiny. Or buy a shrimp and slice off tiny bits of just little, very tiny. These fish have a tiny stomach. They can't take much. Feed less than you think they want. My rule of thumb when I'm trying to explain to somebody how to feed their fish, is today feed them 1/10 of what you fed them yesterday, and then tomorrow feed 1/10 of that. It's rare for a fish to starve to death. It's more common for its aquarium to become fouled from excess food. And my hunch is that's what happened to your fish.
I've been able to feed freeze-dried bloodworms to my betta. They like that as well. I find it to be like minimal. Like it's so transparent. I don't really know how much I'm feeding. Color Guppies suggested disinfecting the plants just to be safe.
I think if you do a water change, any of the bacteria that's in there is going to die off. If it's got nothing to feed on, you can try to kind of rinse things, shake it out a bit, shake the plants out, rinse it out, stir up the bottom, just the top surface a little bit. The alternative is start all over again. You certainly can do that. You said you had a deep sand bed. I'm kind of taking you at your word there, but I don't really know what that means. When I tell someone, explain to them how to clean their bowl, their Betta bowl, what I suggest to them is they take the fish out, put it in a separate container with some of the same water it's in, take the plants out, put them aside, carry the bowl over to the sink, turn on the faucet, let it shoot down in there without washing the sand out. You don't want the sand to get out. And you want sand, not gravel, not pretty little marbles, nothing like that. You want sand, and you want about 2 inches of it. Stir it up good, wipe the inside, pour the water off without pouring the sand down the sink. You don't need a plumber's bill. Get a gallon jug of, get this, a gallon jug of drinking water from the supermarket. Use that for your Betta. Pour it in, put the plants back in, put the fish back in, and you're good to go. So I'm suggesting with that a total clean out. If you've got it in a tank, you don't want to go through all that. Just let it sit for a week and it'll stabilize.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a bowl or a dirted tank or a bowl that was dirted.
Yeah, I don't know what he meant by that.
I lost the comment. Mr. Beach says he got a handful of ghost shrimp from the tank and they went from being clear to light brown. And then they died. Is something wrong? Or is he doing something wrong?
What kind of shrimp?
He said they were ghost shrimp.
So they were...
They were clear. They turned brown and then they died.
Well, it's probably water parameters. Ghost shrimp want to be in hard water. They don't like soft water. If your water was soft or acidic, that could cause the problem. Generally, ghost shrimp do really well, but you got to keep them in hard alkaline water. They don't like to be in soft water.
I heard about the Wonder Balls. I think they're called. You just throw a Wonder Ball in. Like there was a shrimp keeper who used them with his shrimp to keep the TDS higher, keep the mineral content higher. If you have soft water.
Oh, I don't know.
Or I guess if you're starting from RO, you can probably use a Wonder Ball and raise the water that way. The minerals. They're just these like balls. They look like mineral balls. You can add them to your water.
Well, I guess that's what they are, mineral balls. Yeah. Well, I guess that works. Yeah. If you need mineral, if you need to kick it up, then something like that would certainly help. It's going to dissolve kind of slowly. Salt acid water, I've never had the problem, so I've really not had to deal with trying to increase the hardness.
I think it's interesting that when I watch MD Fish Tanks, George Farmer came over and was like, "What are you doing? There must be something about your water that's like magic water." And he tested his water and he's like, "I have soft water." And all his plants thrive. And yes, I thought that was interesting.
Huh.
I'm not saying like go get yourself some soft water because MD Fish Tanks is doing really good with it, but
Amazing. Let's see, Mary Page. I don't know what that's all about. You get behind here and there's no way to know what anybody's talking about. Ro is on. Hi, Ro. Good to see you. Natural Baggy Lean says, keep growing your channel. Good work. Natural Baggy Lean. Nice to see you here. Chevy Fish is calling them wonder shells or mineral bulbs. Mr. Beach. His pH is 7.8. Yeah, that's pretty rocky, pretty solid. Lee, color guppies. Color guppies needs a wrench. Huh. I take Lee at his word here.
Aquatic Contest told Lee, make sure you don't, when you see a dead bird, put it in your tank.
Right, good idea. I'll read.
And Mr. Beach said he hasn't had much luck with ghost shrimp and keeping them alive either. Or who said that? That was Billy Dog. Sorry, Billy Dog said he hasn't had much luck with ghost shrimp either.
He has soft acidic water. He's saying, yeah, we have a lot of shrimp around here, and of course they're in kind of hard alkaline water. I get them in a lot because I feed them to a lot of my animals, and I don't have much trouble keeping them, but I have very hard alkaline water.
I can catch them out of my pond whenever I want. I should probably go test that water.
Good idea. Let's see.
I lose snails too, though. I think it's because of not having enough minerals.
Hi, Chubbs. Good morning. Chevy is saying grass shrimp have short lifespans. They turn cloudy before they die. Yeah, true enough. In the wild, they're typically born early summer. By the end of summer, they're maybe half an inch long. They spawn the next spring and die between the summer and the fall. So they live about a year. So it may simply be that you bought shrimp that are at the end of their lifespan. Well, if you're getting shrimp, you want to try to get the tiniest ones you can. This time of year is perfect for collecting grass shrimp because they're all real small. They're like half an inch long. And typically they're in huge swarms. So you can get thousands of them. I get them and keep them. When I catch them like that, I fill up a coffee can with them and then freeze them in sandwich bags in order to have a have them as food through the winter.
Poor little shrimp.
I know. I
I
know.
really like them. They're really interesting to watch.
Shrimp are neat animals. They are.
Mary said, I agree with her. She believes they should make bloodworms in smaller packaging. And what has helped her immensely was feeding bloodworms in a feeding cone.
Well, if you buy the blister packs, that'll last for months and months. And one of those little blisters will last thawed out in the fridge for about a week. So that's really pretty good. If you're only feeding one fish, you probably are not going to feed all of it, but you'll feed most of it, so you won't be throwing very much away.
It's probably still more expensive to do that, though, over the frozen shrimp.
Oh, yeah, it is. But it breaks down pretty good. If you're buying a 24-pack blister, that should cost you under $10, $7 or $8, and it's going to last 6 months, roughly half a year. So for $10 or 6 months, or $8 for 6 months, it's like $1 and a half a month. I don't know. It depends on your economics, I guess.
I think it's overkill for one betta.
It's a lot to feed one fish, right? Right. But the shrimp thing works real well. Just get a shrimp, keep it frozen, scrape off little bits of it. It'll last until you're sick of messing with it. Then you can get another one.
Yeah, I was refreezing it. I was breaking it up, putting it in a container, and putting it back in my freezer.
Yeah, if you use a razor or a knife and just scrape it while it's frozen, it'll scrape off very tiny little bits. Then you can feed that. That way you keep it frozen. And just feed the scrapings. Very, very tiny pieces. What else is going on here? Okay. Cichlid has a 10-gallon dirted tank with a bunch of plants and a 3-inch sand bed. Yeah, now you can put more than one betta. Put bettas in with tetras, with other small fish, even live bears, and they'll typically do fine. So in a 10-gallon tank, you can have more than one betta. You can have other kinds of fish as well. You can have tetras, you can have live bears, anything that's not going to nip at the betta. Betta's not going to hurt anything, but he could get his fins nipped up. So barbs might be out, but glowfish would be fine. So plan on putting more fish in, and then feed a natural food, and feed it only once a day and a very, very tiny amount. Most of the fish are going to be grazing, and they will find food. The betta will too, if the tank is old enough to be producing zooplankton, because he'll eat that as well.
Aquatic Conquest, I don't think he's wasting his time. He says the day before he does the water change, he fills up his buckets with tap water. He does this because he thinks the chlorine in there will dissipate. He doesn't have air running through the water. So his question is he wasting his time? I guess leaving the water out a day before.
Yeah, Billy Dog is saying, I think if your water has chlorine, it'll gas off. But if it's like bromine, it won't gas off. Um, a lot of municipalities add ammonia to the water to combine with the chlorine so it won't gas off. Chlorine is a gas, but when you add ammonia to it, you get a compound called chloramine, which is a liquid, it's not a gas, and it will not gas off. With an air stone, it's going to gas off. That is, if it's just chlorine. You need to use something, though. The problem with the chloramine is that if you use sodium thiosulfate, which is the active ingredient in most of the dechlorinators, I sell it in crystalline form. It's on Get Gills. That will break the molecule bond between the chlorine and the ammonia, and it'll get rid of the chlorine, but the ammonia will stay in the water. So then you've got to deal with an ammonia problem. If you can, for a little tank, if you can buy drinking water, not spring water, not RO water, not distilled water, not rainwater. Drinking water contains minerals. By drinking water and use that, that gives you water without chemicals in it. And that's that for a small tank or a small container. If you have chlorine or chloramine in your water, that's going to be the easiest way to deal with it.
Cichlid still wants to know what to do with the plants and water.
Take the water out and replace the water. Rinse. You can kind of wipe the plants a little bit. Just make sure there's no debris on them. Siphon out. Stir it up a little bit. Kind of stir up the top part of the sand. Stir it up a bit. You have just sand, don't you? You don't have dirt.
Yeah, he said 3 inches of sand.
3 inches of sand.
I would not worry about it.
Yeah, I would either start all over again or just replace the water and let it go.
Test your water. Replace it.
Right, get new water in there. If you've got a chloramine issue, then you need to deal with that. If you got chlorine, use a dechlorinator. Buy water if you can. If you can do it, you'll need 7 or 8 gallons. And then stop feeding flake food.
Well, he says it is dirted. So what kind of dirt did you use?
Oh, he is dirted.
I thought he said sand before.
Yeah, I saw 3 inches of sand sitting on top of dirt. Don't overthink it. Cass is right. Don't overthink it. Just do a water change and keep going. Let it sit for a day or two and then put some fish in it. And you can do more than bettas. You can do other kinds of fish as well. You can have a community in that 10-gallon tank of little tiny fish, and it'll be just fine.
He says it got sick from another tank, he thinks. So he must have more than one tank.
Could be.
It's hard to know when we don't get all the information.
Yeah, that's right. We're not getting enough to really be able to make a. I do have dirt, he says. Sit down, relax, have a beer, calm yourself, change the water, and move forward. Just stop feeding the stuff that's fouling your tank, because you have fouled the tank. There's no question in my mind about that. If your fish had sores all over them, it's because you have the bacteria is running rampant and has has infected him. Vinny is here. Hi, Vinny. Good to see you. Color Copy's asking about shipping. Well, it still ain't right, is it? I boxed up 8 cups yesterday, 8 mugs.
I don't think they saw my kitty. I think we weren't live when he came to visit.
That's right.
This is Ross. Rossi Ross.
How old is he?
They're a year old. He has a brother.
Oh, okay. He looks young.
I don't think he's gonna get any bigger than this. I think he just is like a tiny cat.
A little cat. That's cool. Well, Lee, we need to send him to the moon. Mary Page is asking about Lee's Frog Saga. Ooh. Aquatic Conquest. The day before I do a water. Oh, you had read this, Cass. I fill up my buckets. Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, I got that one. We answered it.
Right.
Chiclet's back. He says he's going to wait a week before adding fish. He's going to add chlorinated water.
Perfect. That'll work.
Test your water.
Yeah, it's really
Get a test kit.
pH, at least pH. pH is the one thing you really need to test for. Nitrates and ammonia kind of take care of themselves, but pH is critical.
And my cat's being crazy, and he climbed up to the window now.
Golly,
they knock over all my office supplies trying to get to the window.
Oh dear. Looks like Lee and Gollymon are having an out over there.
Mary says something about how long they will last. She's never thought about how long things will last. She's been chopping it up, and if it's still halfway frozen, I just put it back in the freezer.
Yeah, if you thaw it out and in a little container.
Are you just repeating what I did?
Okay.
I don't know what she's saying.
Who is it?
Mary says, why if I never ask somebody how long, I guess, bloodworms will last?
Oh, I saw that. Yeah. Well,
my problem is when I do take it out and chop it up, it is thawing a little bit. That's enough time for it to thaw. So it's refreezing.
Well, yeah, it depends how you buy it. If you buy a flat pack that's like a quarter to a pound to a pound, then you have to break off little parts of it. The blister packs are so much more convenient. You just pop a cube out, put it in a little Dixie cup, something with the lid, stick it in the fridge, let it thaw out in water, in like an inch of water. Then once it thaws out, you can use a pair of tweezers or your finger and take out a couple of those little worms and feed them directly. And you can do that for up to a week. After about a week, it starts to get rancid. But usually, you can feed it out in a week. And that way you don't get any of the gunk that's in the water that the worms are frozen in.
Yeah, I think that's what really, I'm not sure if that's what caused the haze in my aquarium, was feeding it frozen.
Well, it's possible, because if you're putting that cube in there, there's a lot of waste. that's just going into the water column that the fish will never eat. And so it's producing biomass. If you just feed the thawed out worm, then they're going to eat that right away, and it'll be going through the conversion process.
Have you done?
All right.
Knocked over a book. My cats have a window seat. They have their own window seat next to the aquarium, but I don't give them access to this window because it's the office.
Oh, what are we doing time-wise here? Where are we?
We're at 10:09.
10:09. I guess we'll go to 10:30 since we started at 8:30.
I was thinking about singing my song live, but I'm not sure how that will go.
You want to try it?
I definitely am more comfortable singing in my car.
Well, that would be fun. Why don't we do that? Let's you want to try it?
I'm getting nervous now. It won't sound good. I could try when I calm down.
You sound like Roxanne. I was talking with Roxanne yesterday about her song. She was trained as a trained singer, an opera singer. But she's had so many physical issues that she's really lost the ability to do the deep breathing that you need to do that kind of singing. Susan saying, turn your camera off. Maybe you'll feel better about it. You're not see yourself.
I'll pretend you're not there.
Tell you what, let's, can we do this? I get so mixed up on this stuff.
Hi, Ro.
Oh, it switched. That's interesting.
Lee came back as Golemon. Lee left and Golemon's back.
I know, I saw that.
I think he's mad that he's not on here today.
Maybe. Let's send him a link, see if he'll come up. Let's see. What are we gonna do?
Oh, you guys should have heard me in my car yesterday. It sounded great.
Hello, Mary.
Let's see. Lee says her father fish is like Sue. She keeps pressing buttons on my computer until it works, but mostly breaks. Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I generally what I'll do is press a button 1 second before I realize I should not touch it. So I'm always getting myself in trouble. You want to come up, Lee? Say hi. Love to have you for a minute. We get down to Our last 15 minutes or so here.
I can try singing, but we'll see. Would you like to hear it?
I would absolutely.
Okay, I'll give it a try. Let's see. I just got nervous again. The nerves came back.
Nobody's there.
Gonna sound all nervous now.
Nah, it'll be fine. Be sweet, sweet girl. Sweet song. Kind of take us back to our old home.
I found my way. I found my way to Father Fish. He comes on in the morning every day. Add some soil, cap it with sand, then add plants. He will help you do it the right way. Add some fish, then walk away. Feed your fish high quality food. Thy food is best. Keep it real, keep it natural. I messed up. Keep it all natural. I found my way back to Father Fish. There you have it. I hope that was good.
I love it. I love it. That's so sweet. Guess who's here?
It's Lee.
Cassie B, that is absolutely delightful. And I'm not kidding when I say that I have that tune in my head. Da, da, da. It's beautiful. Da, 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 da,
I sing it the rest of the
day. It's lovely. It's lovely. I can beat it though.
All right, let's hear you.
Right. You went first because Aquatic Conquest was asking way back in the comments, are we going to have some live singing today?
Oh, really?
And you did it, and you nailed it. So I just have to slap you down because I'm the best.
Well, go for it. Go for it.
Right, let's hear.
Right. This is a cappella as well because I don't have any music at the moment. So you can just give it, fall off your chairs.
I'm waiting.
Let's talk about me, baby. Let's talk about only me. Let's talk about all the good things and the best things that can be regarding me, baby. Let's talk about me, baby. And nobody else in the room can beat me, babe. Let's talk about me.
Like that. Yeah.
There we go. See? What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I nailed that. Because I'm brilliant.
Did you go and switch shirts?
No, I put the shirt on. I wasn't wearing one.
Funny
It's
stuff.
hot. It's hot. So I put a shirt on just so I could look dreamy for all of you lot.
Dreamy.
I know how much you love me, and it's not your fault. It's not your fault.
I need to get a fishy shirt. I messed up my song though.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
It was lovely. Lovely.
I have some artwork I've been working on for you, Father Fish.
Oh, really?
What about me?
If you want one too, I can do one for you, Lee.
Yeah, you do one for me as well. You should have done that
Okay.
first. You should have done
Okay.
it first.
I'm sorry.
What do you? What do you?
I'm
have?
only here
I'm
to
gonna
pick
shut
up
off
the
in a minute.
mess that you lot have all made. That's the only reason I've come on.
I thought I was doing a good job.
Well, you could do better. Wait, I wouldn't say that if I knew you didn't take it as a joke. It's been lovely, and it's been lovely. It's been absolutely lovely.
I just want to be behind the scenes helping Father Fish with all the questions.
He needs a lot of help.
Yes, he does.
He does. He needs a lot of help.
So, what's your artwork?
Yeah.
Kat?
Oh, let's see that. Sorry,
I
I
made
forgot. It's not all about me, is it? After all, it's not about me, is it?
You have to tell me what you like. I
Well,
did a
sometimes
seahorse.
you lot have to have something to say. I can't hold it all together all the time, so you need to sometimes just give some content.
Should we mute him? Is the question. Go ahead, Cass. What do you got?
I'm working on a logo for you. I've got a seahorse.
Oh, wow. Neat. Well, that'll be fun. He muted himself. Good.
If I can get it all together for you,
That'll be fun.
You can use it as your logo.
Okay. We'll look forward to that. That's neat. Let's see who else is here. I need to get back over.
We're trying to do that aquatic conquest.
Right, Joanna. So everyone has a slot of live streaming. So that's, yeah, I don't know what she's referring to, but that's really true. We just kind of go one right after the other.
It's really not fair that you keep asking me to come in at the end to fix it all.
I know.
When there are plenty of other people that could come live as well, but they don't. Why is it always up to me? It's not fair.
We love you, Lee.
I know.
I know.
We just we take such joy in taking advantage of you. That's what it is. Mary,
it's the other way around, actually.
Cass, right.
Aquatic Conquest had said something about doing a podcast and answering the audience's questions like this.
A podcast. So I don't know what a podcast is. What is a podcast? Is that like radio? Open format?
I'm waiting. Lee, go.
Jobs. Jobs is saying, Cassie, you have a beautiful voice.
Thank you. I sing a lot in my car.
Let's see.
And my kids can attest to that.
Oh, tell us about your children. How old are they, and what are the?
I have 2 boys, and they're at school right now. One is in 4th grade, and the other one is in 3rd grade.
Oh, nice. So they're like 10 and 11.
Don't put me on the spot because I forgot their age the other day.
How could you forget how old your own kids are when you squeezed them out? You think you would remember that day?
8 and 9, but one is going on 10. So okay. I think I get confused because he's coming up to his birthday.
8 and 10.
Survive the fish.
They are 16 months apart.
Survive the fish.
Yes, sir.
Survive the fish.
Yes.
Survive the fish.
Yes.
Are you talking to me?
Yes.
I have a question for you.
Go for it.
If I'm travelling at the speed of light and I turn my headlamps on, will they work?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
I made me laugh anyway.
You know
Made
why?
me laugh. Why?
Because they are shining from a stationary point.
I knew you would get that. There is nothing that anyone can ask that you don't get or understand. Even physics and relativity. Ah, what? Brilliant. I love you. And now you've proven that I'm not wrong in loving you.
Amazing. Bud Presley. I
You
love my
are.
guppies. I used to worm them with a pig wormer from Co-op. Do you recommend any type of wormer? I can't remember how much to use either for 125 gallons. Great day to everyone. I'm not going to deal with that. I don't do wormers. All right, Susan's leaving us. Tisha is saying pay. Good idea.
Even I couldn't save the channel. Susan's leaving. So
Aw.
I'm leaving now as well. If Susan's going, I'm going.
Tisha's
We're
saying,
doomed. We're doomed.
Well, that's a relative thing. I mean, if you one is either doomed to continue this paltry existence, or one is doomed for eternity, and I think they're very different things. So doomed is a political statement, or it's a theological one. Which is your intention, political or theological?
Hopefully political.
Cassie B saying political. I think you're probably right. I think that's the common usage. Common usage is political.
I don't do politics.
That would be Lee's context.
I don't do politics. I don't.
You
I really
don't.
don't do politics. No.
It's a good thing, too.
Too old for that.
Yeah, good thing.
Mary Page says I'm replaceable. Anyone can come up here and help read comments.
Well, we'll get Mary Page up here. That'll fix her. Tisha, I watch live streams like a podcast. Then I have to pay less attention to the screen. Yeah, you got to read it all, though. It would be fun if we could do a lot of voice. Trouble is, the only way to do that is like telephonically. You can't have. We've got 3 people here, and it's a struggle with just 3.
2.5.
Exactly.
2.5. I'm only 5'5". 2.5.
Ah.
I'm off. Right. This is boring. This is really boring. I'm off.
Lee says, Mary Page says, Lee, you need to be on there all the time for commentary. Father Fish is the brains, and whoever comes up can just do whatever. They can.
That's
share.
what I said. Anyone can do my job.
Yeah, that was interesting. I doubt that she intended it.
Thanks, Mary.
Put her foot in it, didn't she? Funny stuff.
She banged her head. I got an email of her last night. She fell down the stairs and she's got concussion, I think.
What?
Well, she's been going through some incredibly rough stuff. So We
I
gotta
just
get
got off my chair, right? I just got off my chair. Look, I'm no taller. Look. Look.
Right.
You look
Bye.
tall. You look tall on video.
I'm 5'5" and 6 feet wide. I'll see you later.
Mary, sort this one out.
Thank you.
Let's talk about
Thank
fish,
you,
baby.
Cass.
Let's talk
Thank you,
about,
Father Fish, for having me.
let's talk about
It's been
all the
great
good
fun.
things and
Bye,
the bad
everybody.
things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the
Hi,
good
all.
things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
Yeah.
I think that one will do. I'll play it back and I'll see what I think.
Bye, guys.
I think it's probably
Thank you.
the nuts. And